This meeting to order and recognize that tonight's meeting is being held on the traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw people. Good evening, everyone. Any transfer of items to the open meeting agenda? Seeing none. Any additions? Seeing none. Any deletions? Seeing none. Any change in order? Seeing none, anybody have an objection to the approval of the agenda? Oh, we're gonna go up record time here. Seeing none, anybody have any objection to the approval of the minutes? Seeing none. Anybody have any objection to receiving the Section 72 report? Come on in. Announcements and reminders. The last day of classes before winter vacation, December 22nd. School reopen after winter vacation, January 8th. The Education Committee meeting at the DAC Boardroom, January 10th. The Business Committee meeting at the DAC Boardroom, January 17th. And the regular board meeting at the DAC Boardroom, January 31st. Moving right along, we have no presentations tonight. Correspondence 11.1. That the Board of Education of School District 68 receive and file the correspondence re the Winter Gala and fundraiser from the Stolo Service and Agency. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Trustee Higginson, second by Trustee Solomon. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. 11.2. That the Board of Education of School District 68 refer the correspondence Social Justice 12 from K. Kokkonen to staff for a response. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Trustee Higginson, second by Trustee Brennan. Any discussion?
Yep. Well, just that it has been responded to, I believe, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, it has.
I was just going to say it's been dealt with and answered already.
Yeah. Trustee Broswick?
I'm just wondering if in future we could get a broad sort of information from learning services around curriculum for higher level, the upper grades and where we're at with the
10, 11, 12. Graduation document.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. 11.3, that the Board of Education of School District 68 provide a response to Ms. Schneider with the information requested in her correspondence. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Trustee Higginson, seconded by Trustee Brennan. Any discussion? Trustee Broswick?
Again, I would like to actually see this. I've been mentioned a few times that there's some things that have come up at the transition committee, and this is one of them that would be, I think, well addressed in the business committee, so that some questions can be really clarified and answered for the public as a whole. So I mean, this can be done as well, but I would also like it noted that it should come to the business committee.
Okay, Trustee Higginson.
I had a request recently for the business committee meeting, and my understanding, sort of in relation, not this, but in relation to this, and my understanding and response, you can correct me as the chair, was that we're looking at sort of doing something in February, looking at the overall cost, because by then there'll be more contracts complete, all that kind of stuff. Was I wrong that February we're looking at that?
Oh yeah, no, so actually the last business committee meeting, I believe it was, that we had an update on the Frank J. Ney project along with the turf fields at NDSS. So it was felt by the agenda setting committee that an appropriate time to, I mean, certainly something we wanted to discuss again, but seeing that we just had a review, we thought we would give it a bit of time. And so our agenda looks pretty full for January, so we thought we would add it to the February meeting.
Okay.
And by that time, a lot of the contracts will be let out, so we'll have a firmer number for the totals. Okay. But yeah, expect a review in February.
Okay.
And can I just make a suggestion then that the issues that you're talking about, because you kind of just made up like broad stuff,
for sure,
like that you get it to them in time so that they can be addressed at that same meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Trustee zone reports, 12.1. I'll let you take this one, Trustee
Oh, yeah.
Higginson.
So I was thinking about our zone reports recently, and I was thinking it might be a really great format for us to start using, and I know I say us, but I don't have a zone school, to tie the reports to one of the goals in the strategic plan. You know, I was at Ladysmith Secondary, I saw this particular goal in action, here's my example. I thought it might be something that actually helps with the alignment on the strategic plan that we're looking for from, you know, the whole district as a whole. I put that out for people to discuss.
Trustee Kimler?
Yeah, I'll just speak to that briefly. So I think that's a great idea, although I don't think that it should be a mandate. We report out on what happens at our schools and what we're, and certainly with an eye towards would be a good idea, but to say every single item that we bring up for our zone reports has got to tie back to, it's not always the case. So it would really hamper my ability to report out on what's happening in the school. So great idea, but just as an advisory thing, not a mandated thing.
Trustee Routley?
I think we should set aside some time to discuss the trustee reports. I guess at an education or business committee meeting, like, because I mean, I think it's like it's really like sweet to hear what's happening at all the schools, but I think that as trustees, we could be doing like a better use of our time when, as a trustee, we bring up something and it's months away. I would rather us just cut this from the format and actually get down to business, because there's a lot we can do, and I find it just very like fluffy, and it's like, oh, here's what I'm doing, here's how much time I have during the week. Not everybody has, you know, some people have other jobs, and so it you know, creates this imbalance where one trustee has a lot of time to visit schools, and if I was retired, I would be that trustee. But it's just, you know what I mean? It's like not really the business of the district. So I'd rather us talk about it. It's like not even something that or at least it should be cut down to like how it affects the district, as opposed to here's the 15 events and here's the 5 flea markets and the soccer. You know what I mean? It's like that's within the school. That's within that school and that school community, right? And we're all part of the discussion, and we talk about those situations where something, you know, reaches a regional level or a national level or even a district level. But I think it's like, in my opinion, it's a little bit fluffy.
Thank you. I think the reason we decided to bring the zone report into this format was that it was an opportunity for to be transparent, and it's an opportunity for the public to learn about the things they're proud of in their schools. And I know that was the original thought process behind it, was an opportunity to celebrate our successes. And it also is an opportunity, and I agree with you, some people have more time than others, there's no question about that. But also the whole thought process behind it was an opportunity for people to see you know, what's going on in their schools and their community, and share that in a way that gets out through the whole district. So, Trustee Higginson?
Well, to the first point that Trustee Routley brought up, if people have something that they want discussed at a meeting, we have an agenda setting process that's laid out pretty clearly on how you get something put on there. So if there's something you want addressed, you get it put on the agenda and it gets addressed. And it's a bureaucratic process sometimes. It does take a while, but the agenda setting committee meets 9 days before the meeting, so it's a 9-day process. So there is a process in place for that if we want something discussed. Two, I think it's actually a really great thing. Sometimes we live in I sometimes call it the umbrella of negativity. I think maybe you coined that phrase, where, and I get it, we hear a lot about some of the things that are going wrong, and it's a chance for us to celebrate and highlight the things that are going well. And also some of those activities that you're referring to as fluff are activities that our students work really, really hard at. I can't even believe how hard my grade 5 son, who's playing the trombone for the first time, practiced for like months, and my ears hurt, so that he could play 2 songs in the Christmas concert. And he was like bursting with pride and so excited about it. So it's a chance to celebrate and highlight those really good things and how much work the teachers put into those types of things, like the staff of the schools put into putting on the concerts and the events and the packs to the various fundraising events. It's just a real example of how the school community and district community comes together. And I had the word mandate down here, but I don't remember why, so I'll just stop. You said mandated. I don't want it to be mandated. I just thought it would be good doing all the things that you're doing in your great report, connecting them to the district goals.
Thank you. Trustee Bob?
I guess my thoughts are just that I like the idea of, I think we sort of already do what Stephanie, like we aspire to do that, to just match the strategic plan with some of the good things that are happening in our schools. Other school districts sometimes have, whether it be the superintendent, report out on some of the amazing things that are happening in the schools. Some have the board chair report out, or the education chair, whatever the case may be, report out. Some have documents that highlight everything that sort of happens, and we have our Connect Ed, we do sort of highlight some of the stuff that's happening as well in our school district. There's so many ways to report out to the community all of the amazing things that are happening in our school district. You know, I have to agree with Noah that sometimes it's hard to, like, our schools vary in so many ways, and sometimes I worry that highlighting one school over the other, or there's so much variance, and it is difficult to get into all of those amazing events and whatnot, and I don't want any schools to feel like they're not getting the same level of attention as another school or whatever the case may be. So it has its own challenges. So those are my only thoughts.
Thank you. Trustee Brennan?
Well, I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about it. It's probably more time than we spent actually delivering the reports. So I think that I agree with Trustee Kimler that any alliance between or link between the zone reports, what's happening in the schools, and our strategic plan should be optional. If you see it, then you want to talk about it, that's fine. But I think the connection between the trustees and their zones and the board is just a way of improving communication both ways. The trustee shows up at an event, and sometimes I've had people say, well, we haven't had a trustee visit this school for 15 years. You know, that was a long time ago. And it's a way of the board learning what's happening in the schools and appreciating the kind of extraordinary things that are happening in schools. So I don't see that. I don't see it as a competition, like, you know, you had 5 things to report. I only had 0. But rather just take some enjoyment in hearing what's happening in the schools, and not see it as a sort of either an economic or political or any other kind of motivation. It's simply two-way communication. Gotcha.
Thank you. Trustee Brosnick?
Thank you. Trustee Higginson sort of stole my thunder, but I think it's really important. I mean, I know that for me, I went to, and I mentioned this only as part of the point, is I went to a variety of different Christmas concerts. And just the variety of the way they did different things, I think it's worth it for people to know that. Like, I was particularly impressed with, at McGurr, and this is just one example, that they did a really nice integration of various cultures and different beliefs around the holidays, and Christians and Jews and atheists, and how they integrated that, and how they were able to actually integrate a Christmas carol or two. I think that's interesting stuff, and worthwhile to let people know that we've got some really creative people in our district doing really good stuff, and it's important that people know about it. And without these opportunities, people don't know just what's going on in our district. So I would hesitate to lose them.
Yeah, and I think to tie it all up, I agree with what most people have said here. In terms of mandating what we talk about, I think it's an opportunity for each trustee to show their personality, their character, their voice. If we keep it open and, maybe, and of course, mindful of what that is, I think that's important, and thank you for bringing that forward. But I also do agree that we should keep this as an opportunity for everybody to be heard and everybody to share all the great things that go on in our school district. So, anybody else have any comments they'd like to talk about this? Great, thank you. Seeing none, on to the trustee reports. Trustee
This
Brown.
better be good.
Make sure it's.
I submitted mine to Karen, although it's not linked here. So it will be on link to the website, and it's a little long, so I'm just gonna hit you with a few of the main highlights. I did go to the concerts at Frank Namenger, and I was really impressed with both of them. Lots of great student leadership, students emceeing both of them. Very different approaches. McGirr's was a bit more serious. Frank Nace was a bit more lighthearted. McGirr was where they did a lot of the stuff where I'm saying about the takes on how the holidays are spent in different countries. It was really neat to see. Frank Day, they got everybody up at the end of the concert, every class, like all however many 300 or so kids up on the stage, and we got the whole gym singing Feliz Navidad at the very end. It was just amazing. Tomorrow, I missed the Randerson concert. I'll be going there tomorrow for a band performance. We've got Mary Poppins happening at Dover. Oh no, Mary Poppins ended on December 15th. They did Mary Poppins at Dover. They did a band concert. Pleasant Valley is having their concert tonight. It was supposed to be last night, but they got snowed out. They had the concert at CVU on December 6th, and I was here, so I couldn't be there. And they did have a really neat craft fair on the 13th. It was run all by the PAC. It was done all in the gym and in the multipurpose room. It was a fundraiser, so they had a cakewalk and a concession. They're doing sing-alongs 3 days a week. A bunch of the schools do Christmas songs in the morning to sort of get kids in the mood for the day and help sort of just get kids settled in for the day. They do 15 to 20 minutes of singing and as a school, and then they get into classes. Rutherford's concert is tomorrow. Just two committees I'm on that met. Safe Schools met last week. They are working on an action plan around the SOGI exam procedures. They'll be reporting that after the holidays. The team's doing really good work. Our social justice workers are very busy. They do feel like they're doing a lot of putting out fires, and that we definitely need more support in terms of physical manpower, or more time for them. 1 day a week is not enough to do all the work that they need to do. And they are bringing back, one thing for sure that will be happening after the holidays in January, February, March, I believe. I think it's January, February, I can't remember now, I'm sorry. Elton Schools will be coming back to the remaining schools that they haven't been to yet. They did go to a few schools last year. They'll be back for next year. And the school consolidation working committee working group met, as Trustee Kimler has stated. We'll be discussing Rutherford in February. I won't get into any details. Just basically that there's 3 or 4 areas of concerns that have been brought up, which I have here, which I can pass on to him, and we can then discuss those when we're ready to, because it's a discussion. It's just, I don't really want to use this time for that. I want it to be something where we can have open discussion and have questions asked and answered. As Mr. Sable's not here, it's not really time.
Thank you. Trustee Routley?
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kimler?
Yeah, just a quick hit from each of the schools in the Ladysmith zone. So Ladysmith Secondary is doing a little bit of a twist on Christmas Angels theme. So students that are interested in purchasing a gift for a child that's in need in Ladysmith plucks an angel off of the Christmas tree that they have in their foyer. Each angel has the age and gender of the child on it, and then they make their donation and leave it in the office with the angel attached. Ladysmith Primary School, as with all of the schools in my zone now, are doing their Christmas stuff, and Christmas concerts are the thing. So unless you went to the 1 o'clock Christmas concert today, you're missing the evening one because it's right now. Ecole North Oyster, they do have a play space update. So their PAC's been working hard with the community and students to fundraise, and they're happy to announce that they have enough money to begin phase 1 of their play space. So construction for Ecole North Oyster Play Space will begin in early spring 2018. And Ladysmith Intermediate School participated in a TD, that's the bank. It supports the Nanaimo Art Gallery. So they have a program called Artists in the School. So there were 3 artists from the gallery that visited the school and had put on 4 different sessions. The sessions included Hip to the Hop, Equity Song, and then Something Fishy. So the students experienced hands-on sculpture, pottery, drumming, singing, and dance. And you can learn more, I guess, the Nanaimo Art Gallery at their website. This is a program that they do at a lot of schools, so our kids benefit from that.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Bob?
Thank you. So just a little update from the Provincial Council, BCSTA. There's 3 key things that I want to share with the board. The first one being that the BCSTA has created a hub for all trustees to log in, and there is a wide array of information that would be helpful for anybody in the role of trustee. So you probably received an email with sign-in information, and I would encourage you to look into that and see what you could do. They put a lot of time and energy into this hub, and it's a go-to place for any kind of pertinent information for us. They've also developed a learning guide that will, I'm trying to remember if it's been distributed or not, but it's really in preparation for the upcoming election and being a tool for trustees to have you know, everything, resources available to them, ideas, kind of outlines the role of a trustee and some of the challenges that trustees face. So this is going to be, there's going to be a link on the BCSTA website for trustees. And I think they actually went through a process to gather information from trustees for ideas to add to it, and highlight some of the good things that are working really well in our district for other districts to learn from. The last thing is every Thursday in your email as a trustee, you will receive a bulletin, kind of, it's everything that had happened on a weekly basis relative to the role of trustee in the province. Rather than getting 2 or 3 emails one day and another email the next day, they've all decided to put it all into one day, just to sort of improve that communication. I was able to go into to one of the schools this past month in NDSS. I attended the Empty Bowl project, which started at Woodlands actually, and it was quite an amazing event to attend. Over 200 bowls were made, and they were made by students and people in the community. And participants purchased a bowl for, it was $15 or so. And students and staff made a big, wide array of soups to choose from. They made over $3,000 for Loaves and Fishes for the Empty Bowl project, and it was really good to see all of the community spirit at that gathering. I also had the opportunity to go to their third annual pancake breakfast at NDSS, where students made almost 3,000 pancakes for the entire student body at NDSS, and they had been working tirelessly over the past couple of days in preparation for today. But it was also a fundraiser for Loaves and Fishes. They gathered canned goods for Loaves and Fishes. It was really nice to see everybody come out and participate in that. So that's my report.
Thank you. Trustee Solomon?
Yeah, just a couple of things. So with the spirit of the holidays, Cedar Elementary, yes, they really put on a fantastic show, and the one in the evening was sold out, so you had to get there during the day. And but you know, when you got 350, it's a big thing. Like all the kids are involved, 350 kids, and yeah, some of the kids were playing musical instruments they just learned this year. It's quite an endeavor, and it was really well done, and great spirit, you know. Missing Cinnabar because it's there tonight at the Port Theatre. They're putting on a play. So Island Connected, I don't think they had a you know, concert as such, but one of the things about that program, it's very different. And when they had a craft fair, you really see the interaction and the involvement of the entire school, you know, with the parents and the kids, and that it's it's really unique. I said that before, that's a different program, but it's really fascinating. It's really good. CSS, if you ever want to go there for lunch, it's got a great food program. It really is, and it's really reasonable. They got a good cook there. They also have, as I said before, they also have really good spirit. And I'm watching the intramurals, and the teachers actually won a game, but then they broke the sprinkler. So is the gym operating now?
It's a $70,000 cost.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so it's been dried out, but that was another thing. And just from a committee report, it's an older committee report, but when we did the amalgamation of the wood bank and cedar, in stage 2 was to use the change rooms, and so now it is actually in the works. It's going to avoid putting another portable on the grounds, and so we're going to have the school will have a new classroom, and it'll have a kitchen, which is really nice because the food room was changed into a classroom too. So it's a good system that they, in terms of being able to make that work, because we already have 3 portables at CSF, and then they'll have a good facility inside. So that's good. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Brennan?
Sure. I missed doing this last month, but I do want to recognize the students at Coltaille and the administration for the performance they put on at Remembrance Day, at the Remembrance Day ceremony. It was run by the students, the senior students. They did a good job with audio visuals and with the presentations, and was very respectful of the contribution of our veterans to our safety and security, and I applaud the students for that effort. I did attend a gathering here, a Christmas gathering sponsored by the District Administration Center. The capacity is 80 people. I didn't count, but it sure looks like there were more than 80 people here. It was very raucous, happy, and I think it was an indication of very high morale amongst the people in this facility. And thanks to them, we're now eating the chocolates that they gave to the trustees. On another note, I did get a call today from a grandparent, I think, and she was concerned about the ice at Rutherford, and she had been unable to contact anybody. I made phone calls myself, and Mr. Sabo did call me back, but I was here. And I asked Mr. Zver about this issue, and that is that schools do have a supply of ice melt on site. So it wasn't that the problem couldn't have been fixed. It was just that people didn't know. The staff didn't know. The principal was at meetings, so he obviously wasn't available, and the other staff weren't aware that they had that ice melt available. And a lot of worry could have been avoided and dealt with if somebody just got out there and threw that stuff on the ground and did away with that menace. So I don't know what can be done, if maybe a memo could go out to school staff, just informing them, because there's all sorts of turnover, particularly this year, of that product being available for situations like today where it is really hazardous, and also to parents so that they can be relieved of worry that if ice appears in the parking lots, and Rutherford's a particularly big parking lot, big turning circle. So the grandparent did tell me that she saw about 6 or 7 kids slipping and sliding their way into the school. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Committee reports from the Education Committee. Trustee Bob?
Sure. Got 2 motions here. I'll just read it out.
Yep.
That the Board of Education of School District Number 68, Mariana Ladysmith, directs staff to scan our programs and services to see how they align themselves with the recommendations set out in the report. Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada calls to action.
Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Trustee Brozovic, second by Trustee Routley. Would you like to speak to it?
No, I think we had a good discussion on that.
Okay, anybody else? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously.
13.1.2, that the Education Committee recommends the Board of Education of School District Number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, let the August 31st, 2016 motion exercising a 2-year moratorium on outside of North America field trips expire on August 31st, 2018.
Can we have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by trustee Brennan, second by trustee Brozovic. Any discussion?
Just out of curiosity, is there a reason we're waiting that long till August, or is it just there's nothing coming up?
Trustee Higginson?
I just remember that acting superintendent Davey at the time said it gives them time to finalize all the documents that they needed to
I
finalize.
couldn't remember.
And there's no plan of school,
Right.
like it would be almost impossible, I think, for a school to
Yeah,
say,
well,
I
it's
want to
not
travel
really-
now before the end of the school year, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you, trustee Bob. Nothing from the business committee. Secretary Treasurer McVeigh, senior staff reports.
It's just in respect of the funding formula review that the Ministry of Education has launched. I think you're all aware that this has been done, and they're looking at the new funding allocation system, FAS, being guided by a shared set of principles developed by the Ministry of Education and the BC Trustees Association. Those documents are attached to the agenda. The review is focused on the mechanism of allocating funds to public boards of education, and both BCSTA and this technical review committee, which will be made up of the Ministry of Education and various stakeholders. They'll be actively engaged throughout the funding model review. There were 2 surveys sent out to launch this review. One is a technical survey that's been completed by staff. The other is called the Perspectives Survey, which is to be completed by the board, and that's underway. I'd encourage the public, if anybody is interested to find out more about the funding review, to go to the Ministry of Education website. You can find out more information. The process is going to include surveys, written submissions, research from other models around the world, other funding models for funding education. They'll receive information from ministry subject matter experts. They'll get stakeholder feedback. Again, this technical review committee will be providing input, and of course they'll be using data and analytics. My understanding is that in the new year, a report will be going to the Ministry of Education in terms of the research and information that's been gathered. And then we don't have any timelines really beyond that. Trustee Higginson, you might want to share a little bit more from the BCSTA perspective about the ministry funding review.
Not much more than what's already here on this sheet that's in front. I will correct number 2, though. This is my bad after getting off the conference call this morning. I just kind of consolidated the BCSTA info, and number 2 says board input into draft guiding principles to BCSTA by January 15th. It's not individual trustees. It's supposed to be boards, so we as a board look at the draft principles that are here and provide our input as a board as a whole to the BCSTA by January 15th. So we were talking about if it's possible to put this on the Education Committee agenda. People can, it's the next meeting we have. These are really tight timelines. We just had the conference call this morning. Everybody could take a look at the guiding principles. So this is just step, one of the many steps involved. These are the principles that will guide the entire process, as well as the sort of overview and response. And so if people have feelings about those, then come back to the Education Committee with them. We'll have a brief discussion and consolidate anything and get it to BCSTA by January 15th. But other than they're tight timelines, this is an aggressive timeline for a very, very, very important subject. And to reiterate that the ministry's been very clear that this is not a change in quantum, as they're calling it. So they're not talking about changing the amount of money that education gets provincially. They're talking about changing how the money is distributed. So we just have to really pay attention to these timelines because they're tight, and it's a big deal.
Just wanted to mention 2 other things. One is that we have put on our website, thanks to our Director of Communications, Burgos, an area for elections. So as we're moving towards October, we'll be posting information for the public on the election that will be coming up. We've also put a place on the website to provide updates to the public on our superintendent search.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, thank you very much. There is no unfinished business. New business, 16.1, Trustee Kimler.
Yes, so as the BCPC representative for School District 68, I've been asked to present a report on the return of trustee governance back to this organization. So I'll begin with a little story. Once upon a time, in a land not far away, but it was on July 31st of 2013 that the provincial government removed trustees from their governance role at the British Columbia Public Schools Employers Association, known as BCPC, and appointed a public administrator under Section 9.1 of the Public Sector Employers Act. It was stated at the time that it was a temporary measure and done in advance of the K-12 bargaining with the BCTF in September. And I have a couple of links to news articles around that time. So at each of the BCPC AGM meetings since, a raucous group of trustees have made motions to write letters to reinstate elected school trustees to the board of directors of the BCPC. And those letters went unheard for many years. And there's a link to a letter, the most recent one from 2016. So the Public Sector Employees Council, PSEC, advised BCPC on September 15th of this year that the Minister of Finance is commencing a process to wind down the responsibilities of the public administrator and to transition to a structure that continues to deliver good governance consistent with BCPC's statutory mandate while restoring a more direct role for elected school trustees, unquote. The process includes consultation with 4 of the major public sector employers associations, with the BC STA facilitating the discussion with 60 school boards. This consultation review and potential changes would be completed by a PSEC prior to the next BCPC AGM, which is scheduled for January of 2018. So the consultation process regarding this governance change started in October and concluded in early November. Again, sort of like the funding formula, tight timelines. After compiling member input, the BC STA has made 7 recommendations to PSEC and the Minister of Finance regarding the future governance, but emphasized that the most important consideration was the return of elected trustees' representation to the board. So those 7 recommendations, that the new board of BCPC be comprised of a majority of elected trustees in combination with appointed government representatives, with consideration of inclusion from the Ministry of Education, PSEC, as well as others as appropriate. Number 2, all members of the new BCPC board be elected or appointed in the case of government representatives to staggered multi-year terms. 3, that trustee members of the board be elected on a regional basis, the same regions as or similar to the current BCPC Trustee Advisory Committee, but through a process that allows all eligible members the opportunity to vote for all elected trustee representatives to the board. 4, that the chair of the new BCPC board be elected by the members of the board from within its direct membership, but also with consideration of consistency with the other employers associations. 5, all 4 public employer association boards be provided with regular mandatory governance and technical training directed at identified skill and knowledge set appropriate for such board members. 6, that the board be provided with the opportunity to interact formally with the other public sector employers association boards and senior staff on a regular basis. This should include reestablishing regular meetings of the Public Sector Employees Council. And lastly, establishment of a technical advisory committee comprised of sector and affiliate experts to advise both the association operations and the board as appropriate. So what's next? So we're now waiting for PSEC and the Minister of Finance to announce sometime before the AGM, apparently, changes to the governance of BCPC, its constitution and or bylaws. So that's kind of where we're at.
Great, thank you. I'm impressed you did that without your glasses.
Oh, I didn't do that.
That's impressive. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? Trustee Brand?
Just what's our role here now with this?
Wait and see.
I can do that.
It's easy.
Like, waiting is easier than seeing.
Anybody else? Thank you, Trustee Kimler. For information, the board motions report. Anybody have any objection to receiving the board motions report or any questions, comments, concerns about it? Seeing none. Vandalism report. Anybody have any objection to receiving that or have any questions, comments, or concerns about it? Ms. Matthews, do you have anything to add about the vandalism report?
No, nothing.
Okay, thank you very much. Question period?
There's one question, but it's not in relation to an item that's on the agenda, so that's.
Yes, this question doesn't relate to anything that's on the agenda, so I'd be happy to speak to you about it after. Anything else?
Merry Christmas.
Have a safe and happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. And
Eat the chocolates.
Yeah, eat some chocolates.
no objections to the agenda. Thank you. Thank you.